The return of the one you have been waiting for. The return of the spoilers. You see, last season I got given many nicknames. In amongst the Phoenix, the spoiler, and the one I cherish the most, the Oracle. The accuracy of my spoilers reached such a high level that they told me I can see things before they even happen. So first and foremost, I would like to thank the footballing world for the acknowledgement and the nicknames that have been bestowed upon me. But of course, the Club World Cup did not exactly go the way I would have liked it to go. Now, some would say it's separate tournaments, maybe it needed its own tweaks, which we'll take into account. But it also served as a purpose that, yes, there's always room for improvement. There's always a level that you can keep improving and aiming to reach. And that's exactly what I've been doing over the past couple of months in the summer. Tweaking and perfecting this algorithm that brought us so much success over the course of the latter part of the season. The difference is we have to start strong. And that's exactly what I have planned. We'll begin immediately with tonight's fixtures, because in the Premier, well, worth mentioning as well, my speciality, as most of you guys know, it is the big clubs. Like, I can tell you what probably the score in Girona, Rayo Vallecano will be, but as the season develops, the ones I'm mostly focusing on are the big clubs. So the ones that have brought us the most success is when you watch it, obviously the big clubs playing week in, week out, seeing everything that you need to see, and then being able to spoil their matches and how they will do. So we'll continue that trend here. But you never know. Maybe one day I'll make a second channel and I can also go into more in-depth analysis and spoilers over what Villarreal, Real Oviedo will finish. Girona, Rayo Vallecano, Rennes, Marseille, the Coppa Italia round of 16, Genoa, Vicenza, Lecce, Juve Stabia. You never know. But alas, we'll begin here. We'll begin at Anfield, the champions defending their title, looking to do something they haven't done since the late 80s. I worry for Bournemouth, I'll tell you straight off the bat. I think they're going to be in big trouble. I'm looking at that defense, and you look at that Liverpool attack, and you don't have to be a Kerto 4-1-1 to realize this is only going to go one way tonight. There's no way Bournemouth will be able to contain Liverpool. But where is the value? Where is the key? Liverpool have been very leaky in pre-season. They've been conceding goals left, right, and centre, and I expect the trend to continue tonight. In Evan Nilsson and Semenyo, Bournemouth have players that can cause them problems. Depending on which side Semenyo starts, I hope it's going to be on the left because he'll obliterate Frimpong. So with that in mind, I'd say the best value is Liverpool minus 1.5, but also over 2.5 in general in the amount of goals that will be in this game. Maybe even over 3.5 if you're feeling brave. I've gone for 3-1 Liverpool for the first game of the Premier League season. Goal scorers, again, in the form he's in, I fancy Ekitike, I fancy Wirtz. I think the new signings are gonna cook. Moving on to tomorrow, Aston Villa versus Newcastle. Again, I have spent a lot of time analysing, and similar to the Liverpool game, I can only see this going one way. People are like, oh, but pre-season, it can only mean so much. But pre-season, these two teams have had a completely opposite pre-season. I mean, Aston Villa have looked so comfortable, whereas Newcastle have looked a disaster. And you look at that Newcastle team, and I am struggling to see where the goals come from. Gordon is a doubt as well. To be fair to Anthony Gordon, he is a big game player, but he may not even be at 100% fitness. You look at Aston Villa on the opposite end, and Ollie Watkins has scored in every pre-season game. Again, I don't think you need to be a Kerto 4-1-1. I'd go with an Aston Villa win. I see Aston Villa winning this by 2-1. If you're feeling comfortable, it could also be 2-0 Aston Villa and go minus 1.5. But again, I think Aston Villa will have way too much for Newcastle in the opening there. And of course, Newcastle have a lot of business left that they need to do, as well as sort out the Isaac situation. before they can begin worrying about winning these type of matches. So Aston Villa to win. Then I quickly moved to London. Spurs versus Burnley, North London to be specific. Obviously, we've seen Spurs in action in the Super Cup. It would be the most typical Spurs thing to collapse against Burnley. But again, I look at that Burnley team. Burnley last season, they were very strong defensively. Where are the goals coming from? Spurs will be much better defensively under Thomas Frank. I'll go with no both teams to score in this one. I'm thinking 1-0 Spurs or 2-0 at best. But I'm going to go 1-0 Spurs. It'll be a dull affair in this game. But like I said, we've seen enough from Spurs even in the midweek game to know that they have or should have more than enough to beat Burnley. But I wouldn't go with any handicaps or any of that stuff because it is Spurs at the end of the day. Then I travelled to the Molineux for Wolves versus Manchester City. If you guys see my Premier League predictions video, you'd know how big I am on Manchester City. Yes, this is a place where they have dropped points in the past. However, the amount of top signings they have made, and most will see a few in action. I expect Cherki to start, Reindeers to start, Ait-Nouri to start, and that backed up with Haaland and potentially Marmoush. They're about to obliterate Wolves. I'll go with Wolves 0, Manchester City 3. One key thing as well is do not underestimate City defensively. Many people are expecting City to leak. Yes, Wolves have players that can cause City problems. They're projecting the 2 new signings to start in behind Strand Larsen, who delivered last season. But I do firmly believe Manchester City will emerge comfortable winners. I'll go minus 1.5 City, easy as it gets, to begin what could be a very special season for them. And that Wolves defense, by the way, I can't believe they're still rocking up with Jose's sign goal. It's a disgrace. Alas. Then I travelled to Spain. Mallorca versus Barcelona. Mallorca, if you looked at my La Liga predictions, we'll go and check out the projected lineups here. If you looked at my La Liga predictions, I told you Mallorca have added a very important player who Barcelona know very well, Pablo Torre. The issue with Mallorca was they weren't scoring enough goals last season, but they were also always defensively solid. They'll be looking for Pablo Torre to inspire them and see how many chances he'll be able to create for the likes of Muriqi up front. With Barcelona, it was business as usual in pre-season. It won't be easy. This, if you remember, Real Madrid had a visit to Mallorca in the very first game of last season, and they struggled. They ended up dropping points. But I think Barcelona are way too settled. They have the Champions experience. I'll go Mallorca 1, Barcelona 2. If you're feeling brave, go over 2.5, both teams to score. But it won't be an easy game. So relax yourself with the handicaps. Then on to Super Sunday. Super Sunday, Chelsea versus Crystal Palace. This was the most fascinating game for me to analyze. I think Chelsea are approaching or have been very unlucky in the timing of the game against Palace. Because Palace have European football. They may lose but Chelsea played them in the very first game. Fresh off winning the Community Shield last week against Liverpool. I don't see Chelsea winning this game. I'll tell you that immediately. I don't see this whatsoever. Stylistically, it's a nightmare matchup for Chelsea. Of course, there's questions about the two centre-backs. I think Mateta will cause them problems. Palace will score. Of that, I have no doubt. But I also think Chelsea are a better team than they were last season. They have a stronger bench than they did last season. This is the projected lineup. If it's not going well, we know Estevao can come on and he can change a game. We know potentially Liam Delap can come on. So with that in mind, I expect Palace to take the lead and then Chelsea to equalise via a Cole Palmer penalty, circa minute 72. It'll finish 1-1. Chelsea won't have enough to bring the 3 points in the first game. 1-1. Then, of course, comes the main event, so to speak, between Manchester United and Arsenal. These are the projected lineups between the two teams. Onana looking like he will start, which will be huge for Manchester United, even with no preseason. Bayern, they looked very shaky. These are the two teams I expect to do battle for the 4th, 5th spots in the Premier League this season. I do think they're a lot more closer than people think. I did do a combined 11 just to at least let people know, because most people expect it to be dominant from Arsenal. That's not the case. Arsenal did win it. Raya, Timber, Saliba, Lewis Kelly. They form 4 of the back 5. Lenioro completes it. I did go Zubimendi and Declan Rice double pivot, which still shows the importance of where I think Manchester United are lacking. Then I went with, however, Saka, Bruno, Cunha, Sesko. And this is where United fans, of course, have the hope heading into the season. Sesko was better than Gyökeres, and you will see it immediately on Sunday. You'll see there's a clear difference between the two players. Arsenal in pre-season have looked shaky. United had some inspiring performances, but then some dull ones as well. It will be a dull game, this one. Do not expect anything crazy. Arsenal have a fantastic record against the top 6, undefeated in 2 years. This makes it a very easy. Manchester United 1, Arsenal 1. United will score, believe it or not. It will be Sesko on his debut backing for United. Arsenal, on the other hand, they will equalize via what they do best, a set piece. And that is, again, the area of worry for United, who conceded a set piece against Fiorentina just last week. If there's a team more likely to win it, it will be Manchester United. I don't think they'll have enough to get it done, though. My algorithm has spat out a 1-1. I could see a 2-1 United, but I've gone 1-1. I've stuck to the algorithm. Last, but this is also fascinating, but I'll let you know more in stream. Last but not least, the final game that I analyzed was Real Madrid versus Osasuna, which is on a Tuesday. New look Real Madrid predicted to line up with something like this. Of course, Serie A starts the following week. Mbappe has looked already sharp. That's another thing I forgot to mention even in the Chelsea game. We've seen in the PSG game, these clubs that played and especially reached the latter stages of the Club World Cup, there's going to be a slight question mark. But I look at that Real Madrid team and Arda Güler in midfield. Xabi's not stupid. He's going to thrive in that position. And Mbappe's looked very, very sharp already. And then you will see the 2 new fullbacks in action. Rudiger is suspended, by the way. Bellingham has done the operation on his shoulder, so he's out. But in this game specifically, I can't see any problems for Real Madrid. I'm going with either 2-3-0 Real Madrid. I'll go Real Madrid 3, Osasuna 0, minus 1.5, Mbappe to score. That's it for the first match day spoilers. As always, let me know if you disagree with anything. But one thing is for certain. Let's make some chiching bibbling.